My name is Philippe Carpio. I'm 40 years old. I'm a filmmaker. As far back as I can remember, my father was principally responsible for getting me interested in film. It's usually the father, strangely enough. Rarely the mother. I don't know why. I don't know if that's being whatever, if that has to do anything with gender or just the idea of it. But since I was a kid, my dad introduced me to a lot of old Hollywood, and especially the old Hollywood actors and a lot of these things. So in my brainstem is The Exorcist, where Linda Blair you gets the crucifix and puts it in her genitals and says, Christ, Cat People, which is a remake done by Paul Schrader of an old horror film, Hollywood horror film. And then the Terminator, when Arnold becomes that metal shell walking out of that explosion, that truck explosion, it freaked me out as a kid. I remember that stuck in my head. So since I was a kid, yeah, it's as far back as that. The idea of movies but of course the first emotion I recall really is fear, because of course the movies I saw were really freaky movies if you're a young kid. Other than my father, that's the earliest memory. Of course later on, but just the broadsheets, and of course back in the day, of course no piracy, and of course no maybe the idea of going to a movie theater was stigmatized because you're Burgese or you're middle class or middle class or elite. I come from a landed background back in Negros, so pretty much that's it. I mean, that's my first encounter. Before internet, before piracy, before whatever you kids can download it before Netflix. It's all I don't know. Bootleg Betamax. I'm not a filmmaker. I didn't take film with you guys. I didn't take it formally. My first course was BS Biology, which is of course a pre-med course, or if you want to be a scientist. Of course I wanted to be a doctor, but it didn't happen. I found out by the second year of college I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wanted to be something else. And then the filmmaking was a happy accident, I call it, because it's something maybe, I don't know, I guess your life's work or the idea of what you want to be. Sometimes, maybe not for everybody, but maybe for a lot of people, it's something you were doing as a kid unconsciously and didn't realize it. So I remember as a young boy, we would put on shows for my grandparents, my mother's parents, and I would always say, let's make a drama. So I started as a cineast, a cinephile, and then through Ed Cabagnot's workshop in CCP, it's where I met Ian, the guy who's laughing in the background. Ian was a good friend of his work as an actor.
Yes, it's me. I'm laughing.
Yeah, it's Ian Lamong at the back there. So I met Ian. Then of course I met all these people who were into film, and then of course there was that Ed's workshop was very a big inspiration to myself and a lot of people. I heard of world cinema and different kinds of films that you would never think of watching or never even dream of watching. So it started there, and then later I was able to take other workshops, most notably Ricky Lee's script writing workshop. I got in luckily in 1999. Also, I took Peke Galiaga summer workshop in 98 in Bacolod, de Negros, where I come from. And also learning on the job, learning by experience. So the films I made. One film I made for the workshop of Peke Galiaga, which was really crap. It's a very bad film. It's just me trying to get through a brick wall, or concrete wall, and then me being shot in different ways. Who shot me? My cousin. I remember it was pretty bad. It was a very bad film. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't know how to say it. So some of us, when we start out, we don't know what to say. We don't know how to say it. Some of us, we know what to say, but we don't know how to say it. And some of us know how to say it, but don't know what to say. So, and then of course you meet somewhere in the middle as filmmakers when you get older. But that was a pretty bad film. I don't even know if I consider it my first film. But I guess the real first film, which is forever gone. It's there, but I don't want to see it. It's a very bad first film. It's called Girl of My Dreams. It was made for the workshop of Ed Cabagnot. This was, of course, the late 1990s, 1999 to about 2000 exactly. So we did the workshop for a year. Well, the idea was just, it was basically... I was watching too much of what Ed was showing, so it's all these quirky ideas. So I think it was a mixture of maybe Danny Boyle, maybe Wong Kar-wai, or whatever, something like that. So this girl, very high concept. This girl was in love with this guy, girl of my dreams, and then the girl was parang she couldn't know the difference between dream and reality. and then she ends up getting drowned by herself. This such crap, which is from... And actually, my latest film, I realized, like this one with Shania, yung ano, it's just the better version of Girl of My Dreams. It's the... Finally, I figured it out, how to do it properly, how to do it in a better way. So, bad direction, bad camera work, bad lighting, bad editing. I remember my first screening was a packed house. The Conde was packed. And of course, I got completely roasted. And the room was completely divided. Some were just being sympathetic. I know, looking at back years later, the ones who roasted me, they were right. But of course, they could have done it in a different way. But totoo naman, it was a bad film. It was a terrible film. Taught me a lot of things. And obviously, I didn't stop, for better, for worse. Hopefully for better. But, or maybe it's too late. It's too late. What's different? I'm 20 years older. Oh nga, it's been 20 years na nga. Almost 20 years. The difference is hopefully I've gotten better. Hopefully. At least in my mind, I'd like to challenge myself, so I don't want to repeat myself. So we can start with not knowing exactly what we want to do, then figure it out as we go along. Or have some kind of idea, then maybe it'll change. So I guess what remains the same is just the idea of doing things, just the idea of going out there, not thinking about the reward or whatever I'm gonna get. Will this get into a festival? Will this get a lot of acclaim? Will people like it? You work with people you like. You feel so many emotions with these people, and you go through a journey, and you don't make money at the end. But you learn a lot, and hopefully you're better as a filmmaker, you're better as an artist, and hopefully you're also hopefully better as a person, that this thing has some kind of a deeper meaning, maybe perhaps that might help other people. Again, teaching was an accident. I never planned to be a teacher. I never thought I wanted to be a teacher, actually. It's just I never thought I wanted to be a filmmaker. And just turns out that I like it. I also don't make money, but I like the idea of helping somebody find who they are. And even that, of course, it's unrealistic to think you'll be able to do that in 14 weeks or 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. But at least to plant the seed that, hey, maybe this is what you are like. Maybe that's what you are. And then I'm so happy when I see the sprout that I know is going to become a gigantic tree in maybe 20, 30 years. I see that sprout coming and it's like, okay, I'm sure that I can see what's going to happen. I can project. So I guess being around young people keeps me grounded. It keeps me grounded, keeps me humble, keeps me grounded, because I don't want to become one of those people who just becomes bitter and old, or just who doesn't even care. I mean, I feel those helps my work at the same time, because I see young kids, I see them starting out, and I see them full of passion and full of promise and full of excitement and full of hope, and it reconnects me still back with that side of myself. I would just tell confused JP, hey, it's okay. I mean,
It's okay to be confused.
It's okay to be confused. You'll get thinner, then you'll get fat again, but then you'll get thinner. But it's okay, because you'll be okay. You should take film, but I can't convince you. You think it's weird for me to say you'll be a filmmaker, but you will be. But I can't do it for you. You gotta do it for yourself. I mean, I can just say you will be, but doesn't mean you're going to be. I mean, I may have changed the past already by coming back. You might become a doctor. You might become whatever. How do I say that? JP, don't worry. It's gonna be okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It feels really confusing now. It feels really dark now. It feels really like you have no purpose, or it feels like you're just acting like a brat, maybe, or you're just complaining too much. But it'll be okay. You're gonna have a lot of experiences. You're gonna meet a lot of interesting people who you're gonna learn a lot from, and will become a good part of your life. Some of them will stop being a part of your life, but that's part of it also. And you will be fine, my friend. You'll be fine.
Thank you, sir.
All right.